So in this video I was going to talk a little bit about who should buy a Prado, what people have complained about on the Prado. It's a dinosaur, you know, really it's out of date. You know, why would you buy one? Yeah, good questions, all good questions, and I thought I'd talk about those today. Look, it's pretty hard to get a Prado these days. But anyway, let's have a quick look at some of the features I found as a Prado owner. You know, and I agree with all those comments, but what are the benefits as an owner moving forward? So yes, this vehicle's been around a very long time and it's evolved over many years. You know, this is potentially the last version, so you know, before they bring out the new one in maybe 24, we're still waiting to know exactly when. Yes, it is a dinosaur, there's no doubt about it. There have been some few tech improvements over the years. Is it modern? No, it's certainly not. So one of the things I wanted to talk about first is build quality. So you hear about new vehicles getting lighter and weight saving. You know, obviously they're trying to make them as cheap to make as possible, as well as get them as light as possible. Especially as batteries start to go in, the weight's becoming an issue. So one of the things I love about the Prado here is that these panels, all the panels on the Prado are actual steel panels. Okay, they are not aluminium, so they are all strong and steel. You're finding that a lot of new cars now, and even the Toyotas, and I'm not going to mention which ones, but a lot of the new ones now have all got different panels on them, and a lot of aluminium. Certainly wouldn't want to sit on the roof on many of them anymore, or even the bonnet. So you know, these are all very solid panels, and when you obviously open and close the door, you know, you can really feel the weight of that. So you talk about build quality, so that's the first thing. You know, yes, it's really sturdy and well built. And I guess when we come down to who should buy one, you know, or should you buy one? Well, that's a good question, because I suppose it depends what you want to do with the vehicle. You know, if you're like me, as you can see, kitted up to go off-road, then it's a very versatile vehicle. So it's got that strength within the body, it's got the capabilities, it's built with a low range gearbox, so you really can take it off-road and do what you want. Yes, I know, a large majority of people go to the supermarket with it, and that's about all. So would you buy one for that? Nah, probably not, to be honest with you. So coming back to the rear, you know, talking of that, so I've got the option with the tire on the back. You can have the flat tailgate option. The flat tailgate option puts the rear tire underneath, which is great if you want to go to the supermarket car park, you know, all the time. So you put that underneath, but you lose the auxiliary fuel tank. So it's with the tire on the back, it's 150 litres, and I think it's around 87 or so once you put that tire back underneath. So again, you know, if you're only driving to the supermarket, do you need a long range fuel tank? The answer is no. The advantage of taking the tire off the back is this glass then opens from here without opening the full door, and that's quite a nice feature to be able to drop stuff in the back. So in terms of capacity and size, you know, we talk about the bag, sorry about the bits and pieces laying in here, but in terms of size, it's not the biggest vehicle, there's no doubt about it. It looks pretty big, but it's not the biggest vehicle in this sort of class. So, you know, loading capacity is probably not the biggest. And yet this particular version, the GXL I have, has 7 seats, and they're obviously tucked down flat underneath here. So, you know, I've got the 7-seat version. Now I will be very honest with you, once you put those 7 seats up, you have got virtually no storage space behind the back row of seats. So whilst, yes, it has got 7 seats, you'd be lucky to get a shopping bag in behind them if you actually use them. I do use them. I think it's very useful for me when the kids have got friends. You know, it's great to chuck them in, and if there's anything really any big that needs to come with us, I just chuck it on the roof rack. So you know, there's that option. But I guess, you know, who should buy it and what's the sort of use case? If you really think you're carrying 7 kids a lot of the time and you're not going off-road, then you wouldn't be buying a Prado, you'd buy something else. There's a lot of other good 7-seaters out there with more storage capacity. I wouldn't buy a Prado in that case. So that is really around seating. Look, it's comfortable, it's well built, as I said, from that side of it. So let's go have a look at technology. So inside the Prado, as I said, this is a 21 model, so it's got the 9-inch touchscreen. Again, you know, we talk about technology levels in this day and age, and yeah, I've got a few add-ons here, so ignore those for the moment. 9-inch touchscreen, yeah, not bad actually. I'm happy with the size of it. It's a good size screen. It's got Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and to be honest with you, they're wired. But why would you want wireless? You know, because any long trip you need to have your phone charging anyway. So, you know, it doesn't bother me at all. I guess the only downside is there is very limited USB cables in the vehicle. I've obviously put a few extra in, as everybody does. I've got an extra one under here. I've also got a couple extras here. And this one you have to use for the Android Auto Apple CarPlay, so I've wired that right through to the front, so I can just plug my phone in there. But as I said, I don't need wireless charging, so that's good, and I'm pleased it's got that technology at bare minimum. So the system itself, look, it's Toyota. It's not very exciting, but again, what do you need if you've got Android Auto or Apple CarPlay, because everything happens through your phone after that. So I don't bother worrying too much about what is in the display. Yes, it's got satellite navigation. To be honest with you, I never use it, and I've been off-road many times, and I actually use a different GPS system anyway, through Android Auto, or I have this mount here is for another screen that I use for satellite navigation when we're off-road, and put a tablet up here. It's actually quite nice because I've got one satellite navigation Gaia Maps that runs on Android Auto, so I can put that on here. I can have another mapping system on this tablet as well. So, you know, it has got satellite nav built in, but it's crap. Other than that, yeah, there's a few bits of monitoring on the system, but nothing exciting. So in terms of tech, this particular version, being the GXL, has got rear parking sensors. It's got a reversing camera. Fine, it's good. Quality could be better, but you know what? It serves the purpose. I can see what I'm doing when I'm reversing. It beeps. It does that crap. There's no forward sensors on this vehicle for parking. The only forward sensor is it's got cruise control, or adaptive cruise control as it's called. I do actually like that, in that it adjusts the speed. So you said obviously set the cruise control speed, and it adjusts if you get behind another vehicle and slows you down and keeps the distance. It's they're as good as they are. A bit irritating sometimes, but it's good on a really long trip when you just want to take your foot off the accelerator and just cruise. So yes, cruise control is pretty much about it. After that, there's not a lot else to really talk about. So it does have rain sensing wipers, but yeah, I always find that sort of tech hit and miss. Sometimes it's good depending how it's raining or not, so sometimes come back to that. The other funny one, and this particular version, which is a 21, and I don't know whether it's improved or changed, is the fact that the headlights don't sense, come on automatically at dusk, and you know, dawn switch off again. But so they're not sensing, light sensing, so you have to switch the headlights on manually on this particular version. As I said, that might have changed since then. I don't mind that, to be honest with you. You know, I've grown up all my life switching the headlights on and off. It's a minor detail. Yes, old-fashioned probably nowadays. It does have auto dimming, so when you've got it on high beam, you've got an auto dimming button here. But again, I don't actually use it because it's okay. it's not 100%, and I don't find any of this tech 100%, so I go back to, I'm old-fashioned, I'm an old bugger, you know, I like the old-fashioned ways of controlling it myself. Proximity start button, and to be honest with you, I just find, you know, whilst it's a great feature, you know, I just find it irritating. And by that I mean, you know, sometimes, you know, when the key's not in the car or it doesn't sense it, you have to wait for it to sense it. And I bet other cars have done exactly the same things with this technology. You know, it can get irritating. And sometimes when the car has issues, you've got to take the key out of the car, shut the door, and then get back in again. And I've got another vehicle where that happens as well. And I just find all that, it's just too bloody complicated. You know, what's wrong with sticking a key in and turning it? And I know I'm being miserable here, and you know, it's a standard feature, but I wouldn't mind if it wasn't there, to be honest with you. So anyway, that's the stop start. My own fault is that there's probably some tech around here interfering with it, so sometimes I have a few issues with it. I've heard other people on the Prado say that the door sensing, so when they come to unlock the car from outside, it doesn't always sense the key straight away. I've not had that problem, but again, you know, as soon as you get into tech goes wrong. There are complaints about fuel economy on the Prado, but I'll probably say the same thing again. Why did you buy a Prado if you're worried about fuel economy? This particular engine is the 2.8 turbo diesel. Yes, I've customized the vehicle a bit, but if you're running around town, never get above 60 kilometers an hour, even with no roof rack and standard everything, you're not going to hit anywhere near the economy that they're going to suggest. But if economy is an issue, and it is nowadays, as I get for a lot of people, don't buy a Prado, please. You know, it's a 2.8 diesel. It weighs 2.3 tons unladen with a GVM of 2.9. So, you know, why would you haul around that much vehicle and then start worrying about the economy? All right, it's a big vehicle, it's a bus, you know, it drives like a tank. Why would you do that? Go and get a hybrid or something. You know, it's not the vehicle for you if all you're worried about is fuel economy. Yeah, I get it on a long trip. You know, I've done 1,000 kilometers on a straight road. You know, it's interesting to watch it, and yeah, you can do quite a bit to get the economy down, you know, and it's got a econometer when you're driving, so it does sort of on a trip like that, it does help you sort of gauge the right speed to cruise at and help you keep the economy down. But again, as I said, it has its moments. I mean, I've had economy right from the best I've had is, but as I said, I've got lifted suspension, off-road tires, you know, I've got bull bar, winch, roof rack, so I've killed it in terms of economy. However, that said, on a trip with a roof rack even loaded, I've actually managed to get it down to 10.2 litres per 100, but often it sits at 12 and a half. But as I said, I'm not really talking anymore about economy because go and buy something else. Alright, in terms of other features, yes, it's getting boring now. So there is a bit of tech in terms of four-wheel drive, and obviously you've got the diff locks, so rear diff lock, center diff lock. You've got traction control here, hill descent, and then your low range, high range gearbox selection is from here. Yes, it is an automatic gearbox, so you could say that's tech. It's got manual select here if you want it. So there are, you know, that for me is all I need. I do like the fact that the buttons are physical mainly. You know, even on the screen you've got some buttons. It is a touch screen, but I do like the fact that all the aircon and everything are physical buttons. It's so much easier, and I've heard this from other people, is that when you've got physical buttons it's so much nicer to press when you're driving. So around the front, as I said, this is the 21 GXL. It does have LED headlights, which are really good. There's no doubt about it. They're really good, but again, you'd probably say that's pretty standard. It's got daytime running lights along here, which are LEDs, and again, you'd all tell me that's standard nowadays, but don't take anything for standard on a Prado, but yes, you do get those. and that is nice. I have to say that this particular version has got a few extra nice bits and pieces like that. But that's about it. You know, it's got standard bulbs for indicators. Who cares really, to be honest with you. This particular model doesn't have the sensors for traffic sensors in the rear view side mirrors, so I know the newer ones do now. So but you know, these are absolutely massive mirrors, and that doesn't bother me one bit. I don't need a digital thing to tell me there's somebody alongside me. Yeah, that's about it really, I'd say. So would I buy another Prado? Depends what I want it for. The answer is yes, and yes because I do a bit of off-roading, and I want the reliability of a well-made vehicle and the physical strength of a well-made vehicle. The other thing that I haven't spoken about is resale value, and length, you know, a lifespan of a vehicle like this. So you will see Prados around that are 20 or 15 years old easily, 10-15 years, many of them, and they sell for a really good price. I know the market's buoyant at the moment, but I think it highlights the fact that, you know, this vehicle has evolved over many years, and Toyota have perfected this. I guess you could argue, why change it? Because people want something modern and more exciting. Yes, I get that. If you're like me though, and I'm probably unusual in this respect, is that I've bought this vehicle to keep for 10 years, may even be 20 years. I don't see myself wanting to change it, and knowing that it will last 20 years, if I look after it, why would I want to change it? So I know that it will last 20 years if I look after it, depending obviously on the mileage. So there's that, and as I said, resale value is really good of these vehicles, and that is because they are reliable. There's very little to go wrong. They don't have problems, and I guess it worries me that as tech moves forward, you know, that lifespan of vehicles starts to lessen. Unfortunately, technology goes wrong, and you know, after years of bumping circuit boards around on roads, joints, solder joints, boards crack, open up, you know, all that takes place, and you know, the electronics become unreliable after a period of time. Time will tell on that, and don't get me started on the lifespan of batteries, because unfortunately, you know, that's going to limit the life of your vehicle full stop, and you wouldn't be talking a 20-year ownership anymore with a battery vehicle. And obviously battery tech hasn't got to the level where we want it in terms of distance and reliability if you want to go off-road. You know, I guess when you are hundreds of kilometers away from any town or anything, you want to be able to try and fix something, or even get somebody to help without having to get a computer out to your car to get it going again. Anyway, I won't rabbit on about tech on new vehicles. Coming back to the Prado, yeah, as I said, depends why you'd want a vehicle. You need to make that choice of what do you want out of your vehicle. If it's a shopping centre, you know, school trip car, you never go off-road, don't bother with a Prado, please. You're wasting your time and money. Buy something new, more space, more comfortable probably, but if you want something that's going to last you many years, strong, robust, you can do what you want with it off-road, even off the shop floor. Take this thing, I took this thing off-road, it did really well without the mods that I've done, so you don't have to do this crap. It will actually go really well. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. I hope you found some of my comments, if not boring, a little bit useful. I'm sure we've all got our own opinions, but we all have our own ideas. So thanks for watching.